Thank you, and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Dr. CPoe, and he's talking about some of the ways of love and the benefit in a real sense of pain in our lives, primarily because it forces us to turn to God. Amen. And of course, Dr. Poe, let's not only talk about some of the ways of love, but let's talk about some of your writings, because I understand that you've got one, Imogene Reborn, that has the possibilities of perhaps one day making the big screen, which is to say that people might, there might be a movie that might come. Let's talk about that from that perspective.
Dr. Haney, we wrote this book in collaboration with Kathy Macias, who is an award-winning author in California. We started in 2004. The book was published in 2005. In 2006, was accepted in competition for a Pulitzer Prize. It's a fiction book, and basically the theme is the fact that faith in God, forgiveness, and trying to live one's life pleasing to God, that is, trying to live an obedient life before God, can overcome the damage of being abused. In her case, she was sexually abused by her racist and alcoholic father. She was mentally and physically abused by her mother. She was abused through 2 marriages. And eventually then she comes back home and connects with an Afro-American pastor. She's Caucasian, and he leads her to forgive those persons who've abused her. And so she decides to turn to God, and she begins to attend this particular church that happens to be an Afro-American church. So this book is an example of how God allowed her to be abused early on, sexually abused by her own biological father now, between ages 10 and 15, sexually abused, mentally and physically abused by her mother, physically and emotionally abused by the first husband, sexually abused by the second husband. God allowed all of that, but then he came right back and used what she had been through, the trauma, the abuse, what she had been through, to teach, to guide her to him, and to guide her to forgive and to live a transformed life. And so and so that's the story of Imogene. We feel that it's a powerful message. The book has, as I said, it was accepted in competition for a Pulitzer Prize. It's available on Amazon, online, Amazon.com. It's also available here in Nashville at Cokesbury Bookstore, and it can be ordered through any bookstore. It's a powerful book, and most people who read the book said, I couldn't put it down. Now, the other book that we've written is called The Prayer Response. I'm the sole author of this particular book. It's a series of essays on different subjects, and related to pain. I think without being prayerful, it's impossible, I believe, to accept pain, the reality of pain in one's life. I think it's impossible to really gain God's perspective on how he would like us to view the pain in our life. And so I think that this book then speaks to just how essential and how necessary prayer is if we are to acquire a Christ-centered view of the pain and the adversity that he allows in our lives.
In reality, you can't really have a Christ-centered view without prayer. Would that be a correct statement?
I think
that seems to be a sort of an ingredient that you have to have. That's like making a cake without sugar or whatever. Something's missing if you don't have that prayer in your life. Would that be correct?
I think that's quite accurate, because prayer is communicating with God. Prayer then is calling on God. Prayer is listening to God. We know that the most important aspect of communication is listening. And so